Alex is someone I get along very well with on and off the court. Again, another physical battle, but obviously against an opponent that was, playing on a high level. So I'm glad to overcome it. I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching a great athletes on.
The tennis world is buzzing again, and this time, Novak Djokovic is at the center of it. Right before the Miami Open 2026, he made a statement about rising Filipina star Alex Eala that nobody in the sport is taking lightly. Because this wasn't small talk. This wasn't a throwaway compliment at a press conference. This was Djokovic, one of the greatest to ever pick up a racket, going completely all in on a young player. Her talent, her mindset, her work ethic, the energy she brings every single time she steps onto a court. When that man speaks about someone with that kind of conviction, the entire tennis world stops and listens. Now, here's what makes this even more interesting. Coming out of Indian Wells and heading into Miami, Djokovic opened up about his personal connection with Eala, saying the two of them genuinely get along, both inside the lines and away from them. And look, that detail matters more than people might realize. This is a man who has competed at the highest level for 2 decades. He's watched countless talented players rise, shine briefly, then fade out. He knows the difference between someone who looks like a star and someone who actually is one. So when he talks warmly about a young player's character, not just her game, but who she is, that's not something he throws around lightly. But honestly, the moment that really stood out came after Eala's elimination from Indian Wells. Djokovic reportedly went to see her, not to offer sympathy, not to soften the blow of the loss, but what he walked away talking about was what happened after the defeat. Because instead of dwelling on the disappointment, Eala did something that clearly left an impression on him. She locked back in, immediately. Head down, back to work. Full focus already shifting toward Miami. No drama, no spiral, just discipline. And that's exactly what moved him. Not the highlight reel, not the rankings, not the crowd going wild after a big win. The response. The quiet, unglamorous, grinded-out response to a tough loss. In Djokovic's eyes, someone who has bounced back from more heartbreak than most players ever face, that kind of mentality isn't just admirable. It's rare. And for Alex Eala, having that kind of endorsement from that kind of legend, that might just be the most powerful thing in her corner heading into Miami.
It's time to play with these guys, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a lot of laughter.
Because here's the thing, anyone can hype up a player when they're on a hot streak. Anyone can call someone special when the wins are piling up and the crowd is losing their mind. That's easy. That costs nothing. But when Novak Djokovic specifically calls out how a player handles losing, how they respond when things go wrong, how they keep their composure and stay locked in when the spotlight isn't flattering, that is a completely different kind of respect. That means he's not just impressed by her game. He sees something underneath it, something that doesn't always show up in a box score or a highlight clip. He sees a competitor, a real one, not someone chasing viral moments or riding a wave of hype, someone who is building, quietly, deliberately, match by match, day by day. And coming from a man who has spent his entire career doing exactly that, those words carry serious weight. And then Djokovic said something that genuinely made people do a double take. He reportedly mentioned that Alex Eala is great to watch on TV, but even better in person. Just sit with that for a moment. One of the most decorated athletes in the history of this sport is essentially saying that cameras can't fully contain what she brings, that there's an extra dimension to her, a presence, an aura, a quality that you only truly feel when you're in the same space as her. He called her an incredible athlete, someone who is earning her place in the WTA the right way. Not through drama, not through manufactured storylines or social media noise. Through her tennis, through her effort, through the attitude she shows up with every single day and the discipline she refuses to compromise on, win or lose. That's the kind of player Djokovic is describing, and that's the kind of player Alex Eala is becoming.
I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching a great athletes on that ring.
And it wasn't just words either. Djokovic actually got out on the court with Eala for a session, and by every account, he was genuinely enjoying himself. He reportedly said it was fun having her there, mentioning it was the first time he'd really shared that kind of setting with her. But the line that caught everyone's attention was simple, almost casual. He said she's actually good. Now, read that again, because on the surface it sounds like a straightforward comment. But the moment you remember who is saying it, the weight of those 2 words shifts entirely. This is a man who has warmed up alongside the greatest players on the planet. He has felt what elite ball striking looks like from the other side of the net. He knows timing. He knows anticipation. He knows the kind of touch and precision that separates truly special players from everyone else. So when Novak Djokovic steps on a court with someone for the first time and walks away saying she's actually good, that little word, actually, that's not a throwaway remark. That's a champion's honest reaction. That's decades of experience recognizing something real. But Djokovic wasn't the only heavyweight showing up for Alex Eala after Indian Wells. Jessica Pegula also made her voice heard, and what she said hit just as hard in its own way. Pegula reportedly made it clear that a round of 16 exit does not define this young player. One match, one afternoon, one result on one particular day. That cannot cancel out everything Eala has already shown the world. And it absolutely cannot put a ceiling on where she's still headed. Because one loss doesn't tell the whole story. It never does.
I mean, she's really good tennis player. Goes for her shots, takes the ball early, rips. Being a lefty is always tricky, competes really well. I mean, obviously she's beaten a lot of top players this week. I don't really think she needs me to tell her that she's a great player, that we're not going to see enough of her, but we definitely are. And she proved that tonight. I mean, that was really tough.
And that point matters more than people might realize, especially for someone like Eala, who is operating under a microscope that gets bigger every single week. When a young player starts capturing hearts, inspiring an entire nation, and generating real electricity on the biggest stages in the sport, everything gets turned up. Every match feels like a final. Every result gets dissected. Every setback becomes a headline. Every error gets replayed from 5 different angles. That's the reality of the spotlight she's now living in. But Pegula's perspective cuts right through all of that noise. She's reminding anyone who'll listen that one scoreline doesn't write a career. The serious tennis world already knows this, but sometimes it needs to be said out loud. And Pegula said it. She reportedly went on to state that anyone genuinely paying attention to women's tennis right now simply cannot look away from what Alex Eala is bringing into the WTA. That is not a small statement, because potential in this sport isn't just about clean ground strokes or explosive footwork. It's about presence. It's about the ability to walk onto a court and make the whole room feel like something significant is about to happen. It's about resilience, the kind that shows up not when things are easy, but when they're not. And Eala seems to carry all of that naturally. She's not just another promising name buried somewhere in a tournament draw. She is becoming an event, a story people want to follow, a presence the sport is starting to genuinely rally around. Pegula even reportedly said she'd love to have Eala on her podcast. And that detail alone tells you something. This isn't praise for a backhand or a serve percentage. This is recognition of impact. Eala is pulling crowds. She's sparking conversations. She's drawing new eyes toward women's tennis at a moment when the sport can absolutely use that energy. That matters to the players. It matters to the tournaments. And it matters to the long-term health of the game itself. But maybe the most compelling part of this entire story isn't the praise from legends or the growing fan base or the tournament runs. Maybe it's something quieter than all of that. It's the way she's carrying all of it. Because Pegula reportedly highlighted exactly that, how Eala is handling the fame, the pressure, and the enormous weight of expectation being placed on her shoulders. And honestly, that might be the most impressive thing about her right now. Carrying the hopes of an entire country is not a light burden. Becoming a symbol for millions of people who are watching your every move, that changes things for most players. The pressure alone has derailed careers that looked far more established than hers. But by every account, Eala is navigating it with grace. She's staying grounded. She's staying humble. She's showing genuine appreciation for the people supporting her in a way that doesn't feel performed or polished for the cameras. And even in defeat, especially in defeat, she's showing a level of composure that reveals far more about her character than any victory ever could. Because here's the truth about pressure. You can't fake your way through it forever. Eventually, it strips everything back and shows exactly who you are. And right now, everything it's revealing about Alex Eala suggests that she is nowhere near her ceiling, and that the biggest stages in this sport haven't seen the last of her. Not even close.
Played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where do these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
Alex Eala walks into the Miami Open 2026 carrying something that money can't buy and coaching can't manufacture. She has momentum. She has belief. She has the public backing of two of the most respected names in the sport. And perhaps most importantly, she has a growing sense, shared by everyone watching closely, that something significant is building. When Novak Djokovic and Jessica Pegula are both going out of their way to speak about a young player with that kind of sincerity and conviction, that's not a coincidence. That's the tennis world recognizing a story that's still in its early chapters. Because one thing is no longer up for debate. Alex Eala is not simply a promising young talent anymore. She has outgrown that label. She is one of the most compelling, most talked about stories in women's tennis right now, and the conversation around her is only getting louder with every passing week. Miami is right around the corner, and the stage couldn't be bigger. If she rises again, if she goes out there and delivers the kind of tennis that her most passionate supporters genuinely believe she's capable of, the wave doesn't just grow, it crashes. And what's been building quietly in the background becomes impossible for anyone to ignore. The rest of the world is about to catch up to what those closest to the sport already know. Alex Eala is coming. The tennis world is watching, and if Miami 2026 is anything to go by, they won't be disappointed.